Something I did want to do today, I don't know if you guys saw, but Evo, this is the Evo FGC channel, started stealing content. So I'm going to do the same. If you're not subscribed, you should check them out here. They started stealing the like wired, ask somebody who plays the piano any question you have about piano. So this is basically that format just ripped and like put for fighting games. And they did one on commentary. We could watch this video and then use Jeremy's answers, and then I'll answer the question. And then by our powers combined, we have the ultimate solution to all your commentary woes. Whose laptop is this with the cats? This is Esteban's laptop. The cat stickers.
When did you know you could do this as a living versus?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a good starter question.
Do you remember when you made the official full dive into professional commentary?
I don't know Jeremy's answer.
It was as soon as I felt like I hated my actual job. I was an accountant for about like 2 years.
I used to hang out with Jeremy around this time after work, and he would come back from his job in like his suit, and he was the most miserable I've ever seen him in his life. He was not happy. Let me turn up the audio.
That was like the time where I kind of stopped playing a little bit. I didn't devote as many hours as I usually would for fighting games, particularly Street Fighter V at the time. I wanted to pull my hair out. So
I think Street Fighter V made him bald more than accounting, but I can't be certain.
Stressed me out so much, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna try to do this commentary thing. I still enjoy the game too much. I still love being around the community. It took about like 4 years for me to like consistently say, all right, well, I put myself out there enough. I could actually quit the job I'm doing now.
This is not just commentary advice. My like human advice to you about any hobby is don't do a hobby and be like, this is gonna be my job and I'm gonna make money. You only make a hobby your job when it makes you as much money as your job, or like enough for you to be happy living on it and you think you can do it with stability for a long time. I did not do commentary and content full time until I'd already been doing it for like 5 years, and it was making me more money than doing a normal job while I was in college. I was like, all right, well, let's try it for a bit and see if this works. And then after trying to see if it worked, it went great. So I was like, okay, cool, maybe I can do this. But if it didn't, I would have just went back to school. Yeah, I started doing it full time in like 2016.
What do you think makes you the most favorable commentator host out of the others?
Oh, I think this question is like, what's your best quality?
Am I the most favorable host?
I think that's what it's asking, right?
I don't know.
I'm not.
I think it's more so me kind of building up a repertoire of like availability in the early years. I think that's the most pivotal thing you could have as a commentator, is being available for like for the job, right?
That's true.
Like, I don't really know.
If you want a bald commentator who's not French, it's me. That's his niche. Like, that's how he gets his gigs. I think they were trying to ask, or at least my interpretation of the question, why would somebody have you as their favorite commentator? Like, the most favorable thing about your commentary or your hosting or whatever. I think Jeremy is very useful as like a stage MC host kind of thing, and also like a desk host thing. And he can do commentary as well, right? He's pretty versatile. He's like the Street Fighter guy. He's got good energy. He's bald. People are happy to see him there, and he's just chilling. The first thing he said about this too, which I think is very interesting, when you first start, you just have to work a lot all the time, always, and just show that you're willing to be the man. I cannot tell you how many people I know who have jobs because someone else was flaky, and then they were just like, I'm here. I will do it no matter what. I'm around and reliable. And that gets you a ton of work. Even if at the time you're not the best choice, the reliability is so hard to beat. I'm not gonna lie to you. The longer you do the gig, and this is something that only applies if you've really been around a long time and you're oversaturated, is knowing how to not do everything. Like, it's important that people don't see you everywhere all the time always, or they get sick of you. No matter how lovable you are, if it's like every single Street Fighter show, this person's face is on it forever, always. They never get like the feeling of like, oh, I haven't heard this person in a while. It's nice to hear them. You're just like, yeah, I've heard all their stuff over and over and over. The saturation can be a bit much. And you don't have time to like self-reflect and improve, find new bits and pieces of your craft and hone your craft if you are always on. That's a good point. You end up like The Rock in every movie, where The Rock plays The Rock in every movie, and that's fine. But sometimes somebody else's face needs to be there, and like then you can come back later.
What's your favorite way to build chemistry with someone you're commentating with for the first time before you go live? Just to kind of talk to them about the game. One, I would kind of look them up to see what their flow is like and adapt to them and make it as comfortable as an experience for that person. Make sure we
kiss them on the mouth.
The person as just a person, someone they could also share their passion with and like talk to about like games and players. And
That's
like,
a good answer.
Did you see what happened in pool so and so? Or did you check out the sick play that happened earlier today? We could talk about it if you want. Keeping it a more like personable experience rather than just professional.
You make good small talk, I think, is the first thing. I usually ask how they're, I'm like, oh yeah, like you working on either blocks, you doing this game, you doing that game. This didn't used to be a problem, but now a lot of people, when they sit down with me, they're really nervous. After the block especially, they always are like, oh, I was so nervous. This is the commentary man is John Chipotle. They're just like worried like, oh, am I not gonna do a good enough job? because this person's a professional. To me, I always try to hype up my co-commentator, especially early on in the block, to make them feel more comfortable and confident. I've talked about this a lot, but like my strategy is when something happens in the game, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, a key part of this matchup is such and such. I'll always say like, yeah, we talked about earlier about how this move is really good in this matchup. And if my co-commentator says something good, then I will always re-highlight anything they say that's good. So like if they say like, oh yeah, this character's medium kick is good, I'm like, nice, all right, they said that. And then when this person used it, I'll be like, yeah, you know, they're using that medium kick you mentioned a lot earlier. It's really good in this matchup. And I like give them props for finding something that's good to talk about. And then I think it helps make them feel better. So if I say something good, it's like, we mentioned that earlier. If they say something good, I'm like, you mentioned earlier.
At Splutoto?
That's a hard name, Splutoto.
How do you create synergy? Knowing what to banter about between you and your co-commentator, especially during situations where it's your first ever meeting?
Most people pass back and forth. I don't know if you ever listen to commentary. It's very your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. You can use physical touch. You can like point to them. You can nod. You can hit them with one of these guys. Like there's lots of things that can happen behind the camera. You just leave space. Like the way it is, they're like, oh wow, that air-to-air confirm was pretty wild there. And then you stop. You see if they pick up, and if they don't pick up, then you can like go and say the next thing that you're interested in. Sometimes like people don't need to pick up. They just kind of like let you talk and do your thing, and then they'll jump in afterwards. And sometimes it's really back and forth. It depends on the situation. You just say a sentence, you leave space. If they don't say anything, you're like, all right, cool.
I'll usually throw up the alley-oop and see if they're gonna slam dunk it, in a sense. If it's like any sort of funny moment that happened.
It's so dark.
Hark on it for a little bit.
Thanks for hanging out and compliment everybody for Street Fighter 6. Make some noise!
There was no enthusiasm from you. From you. These guys.
Wow, he looks so pink.
Like,
Thanks for
This shirt really
everybody.
is hitting David some kind of way.
another person's. This name is great. At Perry Manilow.
What a name.
As someone who's done some casting for Marvel Snap tournaments on a smaller scale, how would you recommend continuing to pursue that path, and what would be the
Make
next
a
step?
reel.
This is actually super great. Create a reel for yourself. Create a
create a
way
reel.
to advertise yourself to other people or other publishers to be like, hey, I've done a game that's similar to what you're trying to get out there. Put me out there. I personally have a reel that I've like fine-tuned every
Oh yeah,
day
I was here for
as
this.
I've had to try
I think,
to keep
right?
up with.
Was this
like,
the thing I was here
everybody else.
for?
But it's
No, maybe
also
not.
a really humbling experience because I personally hate hearing myself speak.
You send it
Trying to
everywhere, and you
figure out
tell
how to put
people,
the
hey,
whole
I'm a
together.
commentator,
It's
I'm down to do
like,
something.
How to improve. It's kind of like two birds with one stone. It's like,
You
alright,
got to go door-to-door knocking a bit.
you gotta listen to the VOD. At Who is Rhythmic, not me. How do you figure out the mechanics and notations of a game relatively quickly? I don't think I am a fast learner. However,
Yeah,
my
this is
years
true for
of
Jeremy, I
playing
think.
fighting games have really carried the hell out of me. I think I was lucky enough to understand, because of the friends I've hung out with.
That's old
in the
Jeremy
community,
footage.
And also playing
That's like right after he shaved his
to
head.
understand what happens when I'm watching the notations and stuff. That's just grinding it out, man. There's a lot of resources out there. I know Infilament has an amazing glossary. Street Fighter's kinda
Oh,
simple.
glossary mention.
Crouching low, medium kick into like a fireball. It's pretty easy. But it's mostly just like getting yourself familiar with the game.
Me, for my money, the more you have seen stuff in each game, the easier it is to understand the context of like how systems are used, what the players are trying to do. I think for me, my intuition from playing fighting games for so long is really sharp in that I can ask myself, what is each person's objectives for their characters and personally? Why are they doing the things that they're doing? Asking myself that question over and over and over for years makes it so that I can solve for like what the objective and plan from both players is very quickly, and trying to do that while also being conscious of energy levels and like what's happening is very important. I think a lot of other analytical commentators, their biggest weaknesses, they know a lot about the game, but they don't know how to articulate it in a way that's thoughtful to the audience and the time that they're taking up, or they want to show that they're really smart. They like spend so much time trying to feed you knowledge and then say out loud, he's gonna do this, and now he's gonna do that, and he's gonna do this, because you think you know what they're gonna do. You're so beholden to that knowledge that you feel like you need to say it out loud so that other people know the things that you know, rather than figuring out a way to transfer the knowledge you have in a digestible, interesting, entertaining way to the audience, right? Because it's not about you. It's not about like how much you know, and it's more about like creating something that's good for the viewer, the experience, and the story of the matches and the players, right? It's not to highlight yourself. Wait, let me look at this clip. You said they're talking over each other. Let me peep this. This clip is called Most Awkward Commentary Moment at SOT. Okay.
Because he missed his tech, he was laying down with his back turned
That's
to
a
the
great
edge.
reset. That's reminiscent of Lucky versus West Balls. When he batted right there, get the up smash. No, he could have gone for another up smash.
Oh man, there's already like 4 things about this commentary that I have thoughts about. This sounds fine though. Not a lot of talking. It's quite quiet. They're letting a lot of space go.
Nice. Keeping it alive. Get back air.
I like that. Oh, that's cool.
So Toronto Joe's on top. Not by much. This game could go anyway. Unknown.
Yeah.
Ryan Ford, where you at, buddy?
Oh,
This guy's on his phone.
Oh,
was I on my phone?
I don't know. We had like there's a total brain fart moment in the commentary.
you can't. That is really funny.
Everybody just quiet, letting the game happen. Gotta appreciate the game from an immersion standpoint.
How have I never seen this? You gotta appreciate the game from an immersion I'm gonna say that. That's crazy. I've never heard
And
that.
then he tries to edge guard you, which works pretty well, low percent.
So far, I'm on this guy's side. He's the only one saying anything. Oh, there's so much space. Oh, me for my money. Guys, what's happening? Are they fighting off camera? Like, what's going on?
Is everything good? Was I talking over you? My bad, man. I'm sorry. Please, like, take over. You want me to get off?
Dude, I can't watch. Oh, this is so bad. Okay. Can I just say, you both just gotta leave. Not just the commentary, but the building. I don't know who cut off who, but I will say, listening to the
He
first,
missed his tech, he was laying down with his back turned
That's
to
a
the
great
edge.
reset. That's reminiscent of Lucky versus West Ball.
this person that talked second cut off the other person here. But like, that's life, you know? Like, it happens sometimes. Getting interrupted like this can be very frustrating. But the first person was a little slow on the info, no? Like being like, oh yeah, that was an excellent choice. He was back turned, face down, ass up, and because he was twerking towards the ledge, he doesn't have the ability to gyrate back towards the stage. Like, if you have some shit to say, you gotta say it, okay? And you have to understand that if you're objectively, if you're just giving knowledge to people, you're less interesting than the other person who's just getting excited. And so by that nature, you really gotta get it out there as quickly as possible. And I will say, this person does a cardinal sin right after maybe, so I could catch the flame.
It's reminiscent of Lucky versus West Balls.
Bringing up 2 random players. That'd be like shades of insert 2 top players here while like 2 other people are playing. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but like, what does that have to do maybe with the match sometimes is my question, right? Like, I'll talk about this because I know James has flamed himself for it. We were like, the match was happening, 2 players playing, and it was like real aggro. And then he's like, man, these guys play nothing like Justin Wong, who plays so defensive. And then James just went like this. Like, why did I bring up Justin Wong? Like, he just, like, in his body, I could see, he was like, what? Like, why did I say that? What the fuck did I just bring up a random person that has nothing to do with this for? Now, I'm not saying that's what exactly happened here, but, like, you know, throwing fireballs like Daigo here, and then just, like, it's fucking, like, what does Daigo have to do with this? I've been cut off 12 times in a row on commentary before. I've also been the person who, like, talks, and then the other person doesn't talk for a long time, and you're just doing it solo. And at that point, if you're the other person, you just got to do it solo. Anyway, let's go back to the video. Jeremy's face.
Looking at these 2 moments from Evo and Combo Breaker, it's interesting to look at the body language and handoff for the winning moment. Once you realize the winning moment is happening, how are you
This is an industry plant. What the hell?
deciding in that moment who gets the call?
Generally, the winning moment is usually the person who is building at the time, or it's the other person if there's a natural breaking point for them to come in with like a big breath of like, and there it is, your X and Y champion of this made up tournament. If someone already has the energy and is like ramping up, you shouldn't cut them off. And in the same way, if like you have a thought, you should cut yourself off and let the other person go if they have like a big thing going. Usually, I think most commentators are willing to like let the other person do it. If the other person feels they want to do it and they're trying to do it, you shouldn't battle them, and you should just like cut out and let the other person do it. And you can use hand motions or like physical motions to like tell them, or just like nod, point, tap them on the shoulder. There's lots of ways to like let them know that like, yeah, you should do it, or just like cut out and let them have it, you know?
I will say from Evo, because I'm so familiar with the way that Yun plays, this is a very specific example. I know that he is a glass cannon, and I know in certain moments where he's gonna get.
Yeah, if you know his ass
I
is
see
dead.
Chun-Li on the screen. She only needs like 2.5 hits, and Justin knows it as well.
Can you guys imagine that duo we were just listening to during the winning moment? That just ruined my day. I think that's all I'm gonna think about, sorry.
Look specifically at that Evo clip. As soon as the reset happens, I think to myself, two things can happen here. Either Yun blocks or he gets hit. If he blocks, we have another couple of seconds to determine who's gonna do the winning moment. If he gets hit, whoever is talking about that hit is gonna take that moment, because you won't have enough time to explain anything else. As soon as it hit, I slapped Justin. I said, you know what? That's all you.
Yeah, he's telling him. He's like, you do it.
Forward meaty, and it is MOV, your third strike Evo 2024 champion.
And that also takes game knowledge, by the way. He does low forward super there and you don't think it's gonna kill. You're just like, oh, he finds the confirm and it's gonna be a lot of damage. And actually it's enough. MOV wins third strike. Like, you won't know if you don't know the game, right? The better your knowledge is, the more capable you are of highlighting a winning moment. I know that this is gonna happen, so I don't have to build it with uncertainty. You can build it with pure, like, knowing this is gonna kill and this is enough and like, etc., right?
The second one, however, there was a little bit of a scramble between myself and Yipes, because Yipes already knew it. He was signaling to me, he's like, hey, there's only one mix-up left. We were kind of like treading a fine line where we were both kind of like talking a little bit. Then we stopped. You could see it in the
And then he
footage. We
points.
both stopped. And then as soon as we couldn't figure out who was gonna be like talking, Yipes,
He just gave him the
immediately
nod.
started slapping me. So I was like, all right, that's the signal. I'm just gonna take it home.
El Chicote taking it down, your combo breaker 2024 champion.
That's a good winning
understand
moment.
or
And
what?
some people are better and worse at doing winning moments. Like, some people just don't want to do them, actually. I've definitely seen or heard people say, like, I don't want to do the winning moment, so when they win, you do it. I used to be really bad at them, but then when I commentated with Steve and Rip, the three of us would go around commentating all the time. Rip was really good at doing them. Steve was like, he's good at doing them, but Rip was better. And then I was really bad at doing them. And I realized, like, shit, if I'm not that good at doing them, like, I'm bad at them. And Steve's fine at them and Rip's the best at them. If Rip's not on commentary, one of us is going to have to do it. That's not him. So I was like, okay, I will get good at doing winning moments. Because if I'm going to be doing all these big tournaments and finals, like, that should be something I'm capable of doing. There are things about my commentary that are good and I'm like strong at, and there's things that I'm fine at. Even the things I'm not very good at, I think I've gotten to be competent at them, right? And the winning moment is something that I really focus on improving a lot at, and I got good at. I'm not the guy that's like, hey, everybody, are you having fun here? Make some noise. Like, listen, look at me, okay? That's not my job. Someone else can do that. But I can do it if I have to do it, you know what I mean? But the winning moment is something that I cared a lot about, and I was like, okay, this is something that I can improve at and actually get good at.
It is both of you at the same time. You have to understand that this is like
it's a
shared
collaborative
segment.
thing.
This is a two-way street. You have to like reciprocate. Gameplay, story, design, or anything else. What is the one thing you've always wanted to talk about on commentary that you've never been able to do? I don't think I've had any real restrictions on commentary in regards to what I can talk about. I've even talked about stories in regards to the game itself, like the actual lore. Design, I've hella talked about character design and stage design, even sound design.
The thing is, he's right. And part of the reason is we have to fill so much downtime. If you work a lot, it's impossible not to cover any topic you ever want to talk about. In fact, usually when I commentate events, I have some thing that I want to say or talk about in my back pocket for when downtime occurs. If I'm stuck, what do I want to chat about? You know, people have been talking about this lately. You heard about this, and then you get them like going on some other idea. So it's pretty hard to not have something that you want to talk about and you've never been able to get to if you work as often as Jeremy or myself or a lot of other people. If the downtime ends mid-topic, do you go back to it next downtime, or do you cut your losses? You finish it if it's going well, or you go back to the match and you can come back to it later. Depends on if people are vibing with it or not. You can usually tell if the bit's going well or not pretty early, I think.
With so many events each week, tech being discovered and new player stories being built up every day, how do you manage your time, especially between
What are you doing here, J2?
keeping up with the scene, studying the game, keeping up with your own non-fighting game hobby?
Okay, industry plant. Well, he's just doing his own homework here. For my money, it probably doesn't surprise you guys. I just spend a lot of my free time watching fighting games. I don't feel the need to obsessively research or follow specific things. It doesn't feel like it's an additional watching is required to me very often, almost ever. I'm basically always doing analysis on my streams. I'm watching tournaments and matches when I'm not streaming. I do know that there are people who either don't watch as much who feel that way, or who do watch as much but they feel like the extra studious time is like important to them, and for them, you know, there's probably like a different answer. But like, it's, yeah, I'm basically always clocked in, keeping up with the scene. Dude, I talk about news and results and things that are happening literally every day. Studying the game, I watch and do analysis literally every day. Like, all the 3 points are like, it's just my job in my life, so it's not hard to just exist. Non-fighting game hobbies, my recommendation is that you should do things outside of the space. Keeping up with stuff that are not fighting games is very useful for your perspective, IMO. Somebody asked me recently, how do you come up with new ways to attack or approach doing analysis or thinking about the game or improving your own commentary? And my advice was, go watch someone who's an expert at a craft that's not yours and see the way they talk about the thing, the way they engage with it, the way they consume themselves with it, the way they describe it. Go watch some person who loves music talk about music for like 20 minutes, right? And the way they talk about it and they engage with the topic might be eye-opening to you. Somebody who's like an excellent orator in some other way. And think about the way they describe things and like get to places and the things you like about what they say or not say. And you'll probably get ideas about how to approach your own job in a better way. You know, I play other things that are not fighting games. I listen to these TFT streamers talk and I think, how would an adult talk about this? I have to translate it into real language, you know, because I'm like, holy, they're like a soundboard. It's important too.
This one I attribute to having a Twitter. I think it's a very, very big thing for
that's a good answer.
In the scene to have social media, not a social media presence per se. Keeping up with the scene is mostly just watching as many streams as possible, really trying to curate your own timeline to what events are happening or if there's like meta being developed. I know which handful of players to follow.
High fight, yeah.
Comes out because they break them down so well. And it's like Momochi, Goichi, Sakonoko, and then for any of the cheap stuff, I look towards Mago and then Kazunoko. Then the rest is just kind of like fall in line. And that's usually like my top 5 that I go to. Then for like the American side, then I'll watch like Sajam break it down. That's me. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I play a lot of the One Piece card game right now. I'm also playing a ton of Deadlock. Segmented off like a part-time job. 4 hours of playing fighting games or watching streams.
Say jump scare.
Taking notes down for the day. Then I'll get distracted and someone hits me up for like a game of Deadlock, and then I'll get distracted even more.
World's only One Piece card game player. I think it's pretty popular.
Or, you know, your TCGs and stuff. Learn to segment off parts of your days and dedicate it to like the craft. Get yourself in the habit of what you need to be doing as a commentator.
Yeah, if you like don't, if it's not your job, figuring out ways to tackle it and just be up to date in a way that makes sense is important. Which game is harder, Street Fighter 6 or Tekken? Deadlock.
That's awkward. What was your most challenging event to prepare for, and what is your favorite, most memorable event you've
That's a good question too.
I've done so many over the years. I want to say the most challenging one was the year of COVID. We weren't getting as much information. We weren't
Look
getting
at our
as many
beards
events,
and facial hair during
as many
COVID.
Players that we're used to seeing. There was a lot going on at the time of Street Fighter 5 where you didn't have like the best net code too. So all of those types of elements put together made it really hard to prepare for and really hard to like call.
It's really hard to do online events in general because you don't have the energy of being in person. And the other problem with it is it's very easy to talk over each other. So you like start talking and you don't hear the other person, and then by the time you're talking, they're talking, and like who stops, and then you both stop, and then neither of you talk, and then both of you start talking again, and it sucks. Like online is very easy to talk over each other.
The anniversary of Third Strike with Justin. This is the game that was very near and dear to my heart, and that's actually the game that got me into the fighting game community.
For 5 minutes
and I happened to be casting it with the person that I first saw get their butts whooped. Sorry, Justin, I love you, brother. So that easily is gonna be my most memorable moment for years to come because I love that game. It's done so much for me as a person. It's kept me out of trouble. It's taught me a lot about life. It's taught me a lot about like the friends I keep and the kind of relationships.
That's also his first top 8 at EVO, I think. Or top 6
at the time. I'm trying to start doing commentary. Any tips or advice into starting?
Yeah, just go do it.
Boy, is this a broad question.
Just go do it.
Play the game that you're trying to commentate, like really kind of dive into it. Play the game and try to
just go do it for whatever you like.
Dabble in it, try to understand like what's happening in the game. Make it something you enjoy. Please, for the love of God, don't do it just to do it. I've 100% turned down a bunch of commentary for like Tekken, Guilty Gear, and like a bunch of other games, just because I couldn't spread myself so thin, and I felt like once I tried to do it in the early stages, I'm like, okay, this is stressing me out. I'm gonna stick to just one game for now because my brain cannot process all of these things, all the tech.
This is why I mentioned earlier, Jeremy's a Street Fighter commentator, I think, to most people's minds. He could accept and do gigs for other games if he wanted to, but it's really his specialty. And same thing for me. I cannot tell you how much money and opportunity I've turned down for random shit that I just don't care about. It's like way better to just do stuff that's actually in your wheelhouse. It'll just make you happier and it just makes more sense. And also, it depends on the kind of commentary you do. Like if you're someone like me, if you turn on a stream, you expect me to have some level of expertise. If I am doing a game and you tune it in and I'm just like, what a combo, ugh. I can't do any analysis at all, so I'm just doing a bad Tasty Steve impression, then like that's not good, right? Like, you know, I'm probably in the wrong spot. Steve actually does have knowledge and energy that is like infectious and impossible to replicate. So he's just doing a better version of what I'm doing at all times then. Yeah, I have nothing to offer.
Keep it professional, find your own voice, really get involved in it. Watch a lot of streams. Those are like the main things.
When he says find your own voice too, I think most people when they start doing anything have inspiration. If you're a player, you probably like have people that you're like, I like this person's play on my character, and I also like, you emulate some of the things that you like what they do. It's the same thing if you're a commentator or if you play music or if whatever your hobbies are, you probably have some people that you copy some stuff. But it's very important that you grow from that and then specialize and make particular things that are your own. There's a lot of people out there where when I listen to them commentate, I hear Tasty Steve or Yipes or me in their commentary. I hear myself, like I will hear my own phrases or the way I talk about things or say things in their commentary. That's fine, particularly as a starting point, but you have to grow beyond that. And you have to remember that means that your commentary is a unrefined version of someone else's commentary who's a master of their craft, probably, right? Like if you're doing a bad Yipes impression, Yipes is doing the perfect Yipes impression. So like, you know, you have to craft something beyond that makes you unique and interesting. But I think it's pretty understandable that, especially when you start, that DNA is going to be there.
Hey, Sajam's done a bunch of tips on commentary and how to get started.
That's what we're doing right now.
That's all I got. Wow, this was a lot.
I think even if you don't want to do commentary yourself, it's a cool topic, right? Yeah, I think commentary is cool. Career commentator, bro. Other people think it's cool too. Okay, it's not just me. Smile. Also, can I just say, Evo, just bar for bar, ripping this idea from like Wired of like ask your questions, like the interviews they do, is a great idea. This is the kind of thing that you should rip, IMO. There can only be one bald fighting game, man. There's a lot, actually. The BGC is strong. Can I tell you guys the behind the scenes secret about SFM? It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. The thing about Street Fighter League being recorded that is really funny, I'm so used to doing everything live that like being live is normal to me. These two are professional not livers. These motherfuckers, every time something would start, they'd be like, what up, everybody? Welcome back to Fighter Street League. Oh, I messed it up. Let's start again. Hey, everybody. Nope. All right, hold on. What's it's your boy, Hollywood. Nope, not the right Hollywood. All right, what up, guys? Dude, every take, they would do it like 7 times. I did everything in one try, like normal. But these guys would stop and start everything. And the worst part was Robert Television. He would be on an interview. He'd be like, hello, player here. What do you guys think about... I messed it up. What's up? It's your boy, Hollywood. Rob TV. Yeah, no, I'm back at it again with that. What do you feel about this? And then he would ask them a question. And they would answer, and then they would fuck up. They'd be like, so we're gonna play against like Team Bandits, and yeah, and they would give like a messed up answer. And he wouldn't be like, all right, let's take that again. I'll ask you again, and you can give a new answer. He'd be like, all right, cool. Anyways, back to you guys here at Fighter Street League. Oh, never mind. Hey, what up? All right, that's awesome. Back to you guys at Street Fighter League. And I'd be like, bro, you get infinite takes, but they don't get infinite takes? That's messed up. Hold up. His fire is this writing? Wait a minute. Let me do that again. Hold up. His rire is this firing? Hold on. Let me do that again. Also, this shit was way too early in the morning. I was exhausted. I showed up at the call time, and then I sat there for like 2.5 hours doing nothing. Jeremy showed up like 2 hours late and was like, what up? Are we starting yet? And I was like, you just know the deal, huh? You're just not going to tell me? This really happened. I worked a Red Bull Battlegrounds finals that was in a castle in Boston. And they were like, all right, you guys got to be here at like 7 a.m. I show up in the morning. I'm like nice and sleepy. I'm like, all right, here we go. Ready to go. And then they're like, all right, cool. Now that you're here, this guy will show you to your backstage area and then we'll be good to go. And I was like, okay. I walked backstage to where we were supposed to go, and I waited there until 1 p.m. when we started. That was my day. I sat there for 6 hours doing nothing. I was like, well, this shit is like every event. I don't know why it's like this. It's gotten to the point where I've started to be an asshole about it. if I've worked for an event before, I start saying, when I show up at that time, am I going to be doing anything? If not, can we move the call time back? Otherwise, I'm going to be making fun of you. What's going to be happening for 6 hours? Like, what's going on? And then they always say, no, we had to do some rehearsals. We'll be really busy. Don't worry. And then you do nothing for 6 hours. It literally happens every time. And every single time, I'm just like,